Schedule builders and counselors, the purpose of this video is to show you how to mass add a course request for a grouping of students that you have selected. This may or may not be useful to you. If you do not know how to get to Power Scheduler, this video is definitely not for you. So what you want to do is come to Power Scheduler. Once you're in Power Scheduler, you're going to go to the resources area and click on Students. Once you're in the Students section, this is where you need to make your selection of students. This might be a bad example because it's not really what we do, but let's say as a school district, we only have for all of our ninth graders a course called American History. We don't have honors, we don't have anything, we just have American History and it's required. You would have the opportunity to mass add that course request for a group of students. This is probably not super useful for high schools. I'm using a high school for my demo for different reasons. But this is probably more something that we would use in our district for middle schools where everybody's going to take Social Studies 7, or predominantly will take Social Studies 7. Everybody's going to take Science 7 unless you get into Gifted Science 7, but that's going to be for a small number of students and you're going to fix that by hand afterwards. So this is a way to mass add things. First thing you have to do is you have to be able to select your students. So let's say we're adding American History to all of our students whose current year grade level is 8. That would be next year's grade level 9. I would click on this 8 or this 9 to make them my selection. Now I don't want to use real student information in the video, so I have a group of test students whose last name starts SRC. So we're going to make that selection, do that search for those students. I'm going to hit search. These are my kids. You notice there's no students selected over here yet. This is going to generate a whole list of people. I'm going to click on the first person, and that makes all of them my selection over here. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to Functions, and from Functions, I want to mass add a request, right? What do you want to do for these 3 students? I want to mass add a request. That request I'm going to add, let's say we're going to put all of these students into AP Seminar. For whatever reason, that's a class that I know these kids want to take, and whatever reason I need to mass add it. This would be where you'd be picking your 7th grade social studies class, your PE 6th grade class, whatever the case might be that's required for your selection. I find the course I want. I can drag through. It's sorted alphabetically by course number. I find the class I want. I make sure it's highlighted. Other times you might be able to select multiple courses, like I'm holding the control key down and clicking around. This feature only lets you add 1 request at a time. So I'm going to click on AP Seminar, hit Submit. So that's the course number that I'm mass adding. Is there a section type for this type of course request? Right? These would be the section types that you have created for your school. Only if this type of course uses a section type. What type of request is it? Is it required? Is it an elective? Is it an alternate? Required classes cannot be replaced by an alternate, but required classes are considered primary requests. Elective classes are also considered primary requests, so we use required and elective course requests to determine the number of sections we're going to offer. Alternates are not primary requests. We do not consider alternate requests when we decide on the numbers of classes we're going to offer. They might inform us when we are close on a bubble with a class, but essentially required and elective classes, that's the student's first choice that they want to get into. Any alternate will replace any elective. Just critical to know those things. Typically, if you are mass adding this request, it is because it is required. And we are going to hit Submit. And then changes have been recorded. So now if we come look at these students and we choose to look at their requests, we can see that we've added AP Seminar to our 3 test students as a course request. So that is how you mass add course requests. Now let's say we want to mass delete course requests. If I come to Power Scheduler, I scroll down and I go to Reports. Right? Because normally it's harder to find, like normally you don't know that you just want to remove requests from these 3 kids. Normally it might be that you've canceled a class, right? So I'm going to go to my course request tally report, and I'm going to run it. Normally you'd run it for everybody, but I'm going to run it for these 3 test students. And I've got right here, I've got these three kids in AP Seminar. Let's say, oh, 3, we're not going to have the class. I'm going to click on these 3 kids. There they are. That makes them my selection. So now when I click on my Functions menu, what do I want to do with these 3 kids? I want to mass delete requests. The request I want to get rid of is AP Seminar, right? I want to get rid of all occurrences for these 3 students of AP Seminar. And I'm going to come in and hit Submit. So now if I go back to my students and I look at their requests, they do not have any requests. You want to use caution with mass adds. You want to use much more caution with mass deletes. If you were in a boat of wanting to take a large number, like let's say students signed up for a class that requires a section type and it doesn't, you need to go in and add those, and you want to do that with mass adds and mass deletes. You just want to use a lot of caution and make sure you don't get interrupted, because typically when you do that, you have to mass delete the original request and then mass add the request back in with the section type. You just really, really want to be careful with that. That is a quick tutorial on mass adding and a little bit on mass deleting course requests. Use caution. Let us know if you have questions.